Hi again folks, this is Chris Hargraves from amodernprofessional.com and welcome to this episode. In the first episode, I gave you a bit of an overview about what kind of things we were going to be talking about in this show, and now I want to focus on something that is close to my heart, and I'm going to try and do it without ranting too much about it, but it is this. Why are lawyers not seeing results in their digital marketing space? Why is it? There are a lot of lawyers who now have websites. They probably have a Facebook page. They might have a couple of social media accounts here and there. And yet, the consistent story that I hear is that most lawyers are not seeing that many results from their digital marketing efforts. So, what are we going to do about that? The first thing we're going to do is identify why that might be happening. And in future episodes, we're going to build up a strategy that you can start to adopt in your own practice where you will start to see results. Now, the first thing I want to be clear about is that, as I mentioned in the earlier episode, this is a long-term strategy. Digital marketing, and really any form of marketing and relationship development, is a long-term strategy. It may be that you implement a sophisticated digital marketing program and you see success very early, but it may not be that as well. And partly that will come down to the effort you're putting in, but partly it will come down to whether you're doing it correctly or not correctly. It is in fact possible to do the wrong thing, and that might not necessarily kill your efforts in digital marketing, but it might mean that you don't see results for a much longer time. So obviously we want to see results as fast as we can, but we need to be realistic and accept the fact that you need to be patient. You need to work hard and you need to be patient. That is no different to any offline marketing and relationship development strategy that you're going to see. Patience and hard work. It's very important. So the second thing, before I get into identifying these factors that see law firms and lawyers fail in their digital marketing, is to have a look at what digital marketing actually includes. For me, it's going to include a few things, and I explained these in the first episode, so I'm not going to get too much into these, but it's going to include any activities that you are engaging in online which are designed to attract people to you, to get them to trust you and to have you get business from them in some way. I think it's important that we have that end goal in mind. It is designed to help you get a profit. It's designed to help you get work. You need to build clients. You need to have people referring you work because that's what your practice is founded upon. You need to actually have work to do. That should be obvious, and in that sense it's no different to any other online or offline marketing strategy. It is designed to get people to do work, but it is in the online space. So we're talking about digital things here. So ordinarily, what's it going to be? It's going to be things you do on your website or don't do. It's going to be how you design your website. It's going to be what you put on your website in terms of content. It's going to involve social media. Lawyers and social media are a horrendous mix, but lawyers and social media need to become better friends, because if you're going to implement a digital marketing strategy, it is necessarily going to have a social component. It might involve also an email marketing strategy. If you have a good website strategy set up, then you should be capturing email addresses from people who are interested in what you have to say. And that is really them giving you permission to add value to them, to build that reservoir of trust so that you can eventually ask them for the work, or so that eventually they will trust you enough to send you either their own work or refer other people to you. So that is what we're talking about. And the question for today is, why are lawyers not seeing results in that space? I've got three big picture items that I wanted to touch upon, and I could talk about all of these for hours. I'm going to try and avoid that because I know you've got things to do. Let's start with the first. And the first is this. Most lawyers have no digital marketing strategy. What do I mean? I mean they haven't sat down and actually documented a strategy about what they are going to do online, why they are going to do it, and how the things they are going to do are connected to the ultimate goal of becoming liked, known, and trusted to a target client audience or referral audience to drive profitable action by those people. Have you ever thought about it in that space? I suspect you haven't. What we find most lawyers and law firms do in terms of their digital strategy is this. They spend a huge amount of money on a custom-built website. Now there is problem number one. Firstly, they spend a huge amount of money on it. You do not need to spend a huge amount of money on it. I've seen custom-built websites that are no better than the $500 websites you can get from the smaller operation. So we overspend on that side of things, and what we underspend on is deciding what our website is actually for. Go to any big law firm's website, go to their homepage, and ask yourself this question: what does this law firm want me to do when I get to their homepage? And my guess is you'll have no idea for many. You might find a good one, but the vast majority have no clue what they want you to do when you get to their homepage. They have gone for information dump. And so normally what you will find is you will find some nice pithy quotes that may or may not be attributed to anyone, and you will find a million links to practice areas, to people, to searches, to contacts, to publications, and to various other things. And it's because they haven't decided what they want you to do. They have no strategy. They obviously want you to hire them, but how are they funneling you into a process designed to get you to that point where you're actually prepared to hire them as your lawyers? What they're hoping you will do is, of course, click around, read about their staff, read some of their articles, sign up to one of their newsletters, but that's hope. It's not designed in a good way to get you to that position. So they haven't strategized their website design. Now that gets compounded then with this: random acts of content. Most law firms produce huge amounts of content. I don't need to convince any lawyer that producing content is something that we should be doing, but they produce content without any kind of strategy behind it. They're engaged in random acts of content, and usually they get their professional staff to write the content. There is no instruction about a strategy. If there is a strategy, it's usually not shared with the lawyers who are actually writing the articles or the law clerks writing the articles. Most law firms adopt a quick let's do an update strategy. And I've got to tell you, that's actually not a strategy of any kind. Waiting for something to happen and then rushing out an update on it is not a strategy. It's not something that you should avoid. I'm not against writing updates. I think they can be very useful. If something complicated has happened and you want to add value to a particular audience, then writing an update on it is great. But that is not a strategy. A strategy needs to work even if something external doesn't happen. And so most people have not developed a content marketing strategy. Instead, what they've done is they have just gone, quick, we need to write an article. Random acts of content. And whether it's an article, a video, or podcast, it doesn't really matter. There is no strategy behind it. There is no arc. They don't know what their customer journey is. They don't know what their clients are looking for, what questions they're actually asking, and they don't know how to get people from A to B. From this point of, I've only just heard of you, what have you got for me, to, wow, that information you gave me was amazing. Now, if they are lucky enough to actually have someone on an email list, then what then is the email strategy? This person has given you a very valuable asset. They have given you their email address and permission to communicate with them. What are you doing with that? And I'll tell you again, most law firms and most lawyers have no strategy to deal with that situation. What you get is updates. And that comes right back to what I just said about content. If I am a new person just signed up to your newsletter and I know very little about you, why would you not send me 6 or 12 or 18 emails over the next 6 to 9 to 12 months, gently introducing me to the topic that I expressed interest in, not other topics. If I expressed interest in insolvency, then I don't want you to send me updates about family law. I might, but I haven't expressed interest in that. You've got to hone in on these people and you've got to say, where are they at now and where do they want to be and how can I help them get there? That would be an email marketing strategy, but instead all they get is updates. And so they sign up and then sometime later, it's not usually clear because of course you've got no strategy, you've got to wait for the update to happen, they'll get an email with, here's our latest newsletter with 637 things in it. Please read them all and then call us for further information. That's not a strategy. So no email strategy. And then of course, there's no social media strategy. Law firms are notoriously terrible at social media and lawyers are not far behind. Individual lawyers, there are some who are actually seeing significant results on social media. I know you may find that hard to believe, depending on where you're positioned at the moment and what you think about all of this in terms of digital marketing. But what there is a fundamental misunderstanding still about what social media is for. We line through the social and we just focus on the media. And so social media for most law firms has become a publication platform only, rather than an amazing opportunity for engagement. And so I'm going to get to social media strategy as part of these episodes, but if you have no strategy behind your social media use that dovetails in with your email strategy and dovetails in with your content strategy and dovetails in with your website strategy, then you just haven't thought through the process. And so my challenge to you for this big ticket item number 1, which is that lawyers have no strategy for their digital marketing, is this. Have you actually documented a strategy that goes across all of those subject matters I've spoken about? And if so, are you using it? I am not a fan of strategies that take 2 days. You go out to this expensive resort, you have a big dinner, supposedly you're generating your strategy for the next year, lots of talk happens, something might get written down, and then it gets put in a drawer and put away. When I say you need a strategy, what I mean is you need a strategy that you actually refer to and that you constantly utilize. Everything needs to refer back to your strategy. Your strategy cannot go in a drawer and stay there for 12 months. You dig it out, dust it off, and then go, oh, I didn't do any of that. Gee, I wish I'd remembered I had that document. That's not a strategy. That's just wasting your time. If you're going to generate a strategy, it needs to be something you're prepared to actually do and refer to and refine. Sometimes your strategy might not work and you need to change it, but you need to give it time to develop as well and refine. So, no strategy. Big ticket item number 2 as to why most lawyers aren't seeing digital marketing and content marketing results is they haven't refined themselves, their practice areas, their target clients, or their content. What am I talking about? You might identify that you have a strategy. You want to generate an article every month or something like that. But you need to refine what it is you're doing, and you need to refine everything down to a fair amount of particulars. The first thing you need to refine is what you actually do and how you're going to position yourself. Positioning yourself in the market is critically important for any kind of digital marketing, because if you come out to me and you tell me that you are the country's greatest expert in personal injuries, insurance, insolvency, taxation, hospitality, property, business sales, transactional work, and town planning, then I don't believe you. It is very difficult for you to position yourself as an expert in all of those areas because I just don't believe that someone would be an expert in all of those things. And in particular, I don't believe that you are telling me the truth, and it erodes your trust if you're going to claim to be an expert in all of those areas. Now, you might be an expert in all of those areas. You might have 40 years experience and you might be able to do all those things very, very well. But in terms of positioning, how are you going to refine any other message if you're not 100% clear on exactly what you want to be doing? And the 2 biggest questions here are, what are you most passionate about, and what kinds of people can you help the most? That's a good way to start if you're having trouble with this. Now, most lawyers are afraid that they're going to scare people off, and I want to tell you that you need to be prepared to scare people off. Or at the very least, you need to be prepared to repel the people who you're not necessarily that interested in capturing. It doesn't mean you don't do that work anymore. Perhaps you should say no to some kinds of work. Perhaps you should eliminate some practice areas so you can genuinely refine your practice. But I'm not saying you must do that. I'm saying it's worthwhile thinking about, but in terms of positioning, you need to refine what you do. You then need to refine who you do it for. If you can't describe your client or your desired client in a fair amount of detail, what do they like, what do they read about, what are they interested in, then you can't develop a content marketing strategy because you don't know enough about them. So you need to refine your client, and we'll get into more detail about that later. You also need to then refine your content. You need to have a journey that you are taking your prospective client on so that you can help them get from A to B. And I mentioned this before. The best way to have a content marketing strategy is to look at where is the person now and where am I wanting to help them get to? And it might be knowledge, it might be an understanding of a process, it might be how to do X, Y, and Z, it might be how best to utilize legal services, whatever it is. How can you help them get from A to B? And then fill in the blanks, one step at a time. Each step is a piece of content, and that content can then be helpful. That is a content marketing strategy, and that's how you refine it. But you can't refine it until you know what it is you're positioned to do and who it is you're doing it for, because you don't know then where to engage with people. And that's where refining your social media comes in as well. If you can't refine your clients and you don't know what they do and you're not sure what you stand for and how you help people, then you can't engage with people on social media. And so you need to refine your clients first, you need to refine your content first, and then you can start to help people on social. You can engage with them. You can start developing relationships with them. And that's how social media works as well. So number 2 is a lack of refinement. The third and final thing I wanted to touch on in this particular episode is a lack of empowerment. And principally this deals with firms that have more staff. So if you're a solo practitioner, then this might apply to you slightly less. But I genuinely believe that the first large firm, say 50 or more lawyers, who actually empowers their staff, trains their staff, gives their staff the necessary tools, the necessary autonomy, and the necessary freedom to embark on their own personal branding exercise, they will win, and they will win so quickly. But most law firms are still obsessed with their own brand. They don't understand that they don't have a brand anymore. They have 50 brands. They have 100 brands. And you can capitalize so much more on 100 brands than you can on one. I don't care what shade of blue you've picked in your logo. I don't care whether it's blue and green. I don't care what it stands for in particular. I don't care about much of that at all. If you had 50 brands, each touching base with different categories of people, building relationships with people, on average, people have about 250 to 300 close-ish contacts in their personal life. If every single one of your lawyers was consistently building relationships with those 250 to 300 people, how much scale would you see in terms of your opportunity for growth? But here is the reality. Most firms do the exact opposite. They put the barriers up rather than taking the barriers down. They don't train their staff properly in those areas, and they certainly don't empower their staff. What they do is they put policies in place that actively prevent their staff from taking any form of risk, from engaging in any form of authenticity. Everything needs to funnel through someone rather than not. And the result is that people actually just don't do it at all. The result is that people put it in the too hard basket because so many barriers are thrown up that you're not capable of empowering your staff if what you're really doing with your policies is preventing your staff. Now, I know there is risk there. I know someone might go out and do something stupid. But the fact is, if you're not prepared to take that risk, then you shouldn't be letting that person have a telephone call with anyone. You shouldn't be letting that person ever go out to coffee unsupervised. You shouldn't be letting that person go to lunch. So why would you put up barriers in the digital space that you're not putting up in the offline space? Answer me that question. Why is online so much more risky to you? Why are you so much more terrified of online strategy than you are of offline strategy? Because almost no firm would stop a young aspiring lawyer from going out to coffee with a contact of theirs, but they absolutely would stop that person from putting in an unauthorized post on LinkedIn about their practice area without it going through channels. Do you think that that person won't say the exact same thing out loud to the person they're having coffee with? So why are you terrified? You're terrified because you're protecting your brand, because you haven't yet accepted that that person is a brand in and of themselves. And if you can help them build their brand, then you will see the benefits out the other end. So, those are my 3 big ticket items. Why are lawyers failing in digital marketing space? It's because of 3 big picture things. There is no strategy. They haven't gone and put in a documented, actionable strategy that they actually refer to and refine. Number 2 is that there is no refinement. They have not refined what they do, they have not refined who they do it for, and they have not refined how they're going to engage with those people. And number 3 is there's no empowerment. You've got to empower yourself, you've got to empower your staff, and that way you will see the results. And that is how lawyers and law firms should be engaging in digital marketing. Most aren't, but over the next few episodes what we're going to do is we're going to see exactly how you can be going about building your digital marketing, your relationship building in an online space. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next episode. As always, leave a review, leave a ranking. I appreciate your feedback. Leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like me to deal with. amodernprofessional.com/YouTube for the YouTube channel and amodernprofessional.com/iTunes for the iTunes channel. Head there, leave a review, and I'll see you in the next episode.